inspired by Dark Souls, and now I have looked through all of YouTube and I couldn't find a actual rundown on the beginning classes. So I'm just going to give a decent representation, or rather a quick rundown on the 9 classes that are new, on the 9 classes that are available to any player. I've seen other YouTubers get the wrong number of classes, that there are usually 3. There are actually 9 in total, and it all depends on the magic and, of course, the equipment that you get. So I'm going to start from the beginning and give a proper rundown of the 3 magic abilities and classes. So one thing to note is that all the classes have this one skill called Prayer. As you can see, it's in every single one. It's the first one that everybody gets. And of course, it creates a motionless clone that attracts enemies' attention. That attracts enemy attention to give an Hargan advantage. To give your character an advantage, I should say. And each one, for each magic type, does something different. For instance, the Brawling magic gives you, or rather, regenerates health over time. The Green magic restores energy, so your stamina, and the Blue magic restores your mana to perform more spells. And of course, I'm gonna give you a rundown. Rage, a surrounding force that gives more damage, attack power, and removes energy restrictions. So basically what that does is that you could go on a rampage, and if you want, you could continuously attack without having the use of stamina, which is of course very useful for light attacks. You could just get in and out of the area very quick, and of course it increases your maximum power. Quake, your most powerful ally, coming down to help you and some of your enemies. Giant Hammer, wreaking havoc. You summon your Red Phantom, and he summons down a giant shockwave that, of course, as it reads, wreaks havoc. And Ram, it just sounds just like how it is. You ram into enemies with staggering force. It's more of like a shield charge, if anything, but it does damage. Now for the Deception magic, you can shift, and it sounds exactly what it looks like. You do shift. You don't necessarily teleport. You go into another dimension, and basically you could do an attack, come back out, and you basically sorry. The proper rundown is that you go into Shadow Plane, you can attack once, which brings you back into view, and you can do whatever you want from there. Stab, it's just what it says. You summon a phantom, and it goes towards your prey, and then it takes or deals damage to the enemy. And a Mimic, a phase of magic following you. Yep, so basically what it does is exactly what it does. It also confuses the enemy. Basically, it also does damage too, which is very, very nice. Solus. Shelter, just as how it sounds, a protective shell that highly increases all types of defense and mirrors the incoming damage. So of course, whatever damage they do to you, you do it back to them automatically. Daze, it works very different from how most people most people would think it would work. It's every time they attack, and every time they attack, it decreases their movement by something crazy, like 100%. So they're twice as slow with their attacks, and you could literally attack them before they can even get one swing off of you. But of course, they need to be around the phantom that you summon. Punishment is exactly how it sounds. Enemy attacks are being revenged by stunning the opponent. So whatever damage they do to you, they get dealt back, but they also get stunned. So it's a very good trade-off if you're looking to trade with any types of damage. Sorry, that was poorly executed. An eye for an eye, basically. Now we're gonna be going over all the equipment, and honestly, armor does not matter in the beginning, since you could get all 3 of the armor sets after you kill the first boss. They're located in treasure chests. Now, of course, for the warrior, the heavy equipment will make you roll unbelievably slow. With this type of armor, you will mostly want to block unless you have the endurance at least medium roll. For cleric, you have medium armor. You have a shield that doesn't block 100% of the time. That doesn't block 100%. You only reduce the damage taken by 80%. But with the armor and the hammer, you can still do some decent damage. Of course, the rogue is a hit and run class. You don't want to get hit as this class, as that is the main focus. Of course, you do little attack, but you're very fast. That's the whole point of it. Now I'm going to, before I get on to the 9 different types of classes that you can do, you can, I'm gonna state what is highly recommended from my own experience. Now, of course, you're free to choose whatever you want. This is just a recommendation, especially for new or non-experienced players. But for beginners, for new people who have absolutely no idea what to do, I highly suggest the warrior class. Now, why do I suggest this? Well, it's because most beginners won't know how to roll until they actually take off the armor. But first they need to get used to blocking most of the attacks in this game, and which is obviously very useful. I highly suggest this because you get the most amount of health and defense in the beginning of the game straight off the bat. Now, for the magic type to do with this, most beginners are interested into brawling, although I highly suggest deception or either Solus, either these two, mainly because it increases their survivability. That's just my opinion, though. You could still change to a brawler whenever you want. And that's it. Now, of course, for the veterans of any game that has sort of parrying the mechanic to repel an enemy's attack for high damage, not to be confused with the other 2 shields. The rogue shield is meant for parrying, it's not for blocking, just so new players don't get confused. Now for this, players who go rogue find the green magic to be more favorable because of its, equal measure of offensive and sort of evasive maneuvers. But by far, this is the most risky class to play. I think this should belong to either experience or either players who have already played Dark Souls. Yes, I just made that connection there. Now, if you plan to use faith or magic throughout your game, then the cleric would be a good choice. I say the cleric is good for all players, whether they're bad or experienced. I just say that this is one of the best classes to start with. Now, of course, since this is already a faith class, you could go with any type of magic. It really doesn't matter. But if you start off with the blue magic, I believe you get the highest faith. Yep, you get 14 faith. Oh, that's not right. 12. 12. Okay. So yeah, if you go with the cleric and the blue magic, you will have 14 faith. And of course, since the cleric set already gives you a high enough faith, you could literally go with any one of these. But now stats. That's a different story. Depending on the equipment and magic you choose, on the right side of the screen, each stat does something different, like the strength, vitality, faith, endurance, agility, and luck. Strength allows the... how should I put this? The use of heavy but powerful weapons. That's what I should say. Vitality is what it sounds like in every other RPG game. It increases your max health, but it also adds a bit of a bonus to all effects on healing potions. So it increases the amount of health it gives you for healing potions if you upgrade that, which is nice. Faith increases your maximum mana, so increase the maximum amount of energy you can use. But it also allows the use of like special weapons that scale with faith. So of course it's gonna be using weapons that use magic or doesn't use much of physical damage is what I'm trying to say. Endurance, it increases your stamina, but not only that, it also increases your equip load to equip heavier armor and weapons, which is very nice, which is almost an essential to every class. Every single one, it doesn't matter what build you're doing, endurance is what you're going to be going for. Now for agility, that allows the use of small but very fast weapons that deal moderate damage compared to others, but of course you would want to be more mobile. Luck, that just increases your chances of enemies dropping loot and items such as shards and even rare drops. Now of course I do want to look at all of the 9 different classes, and I'm just very interested in what that is. Of course, on the top right, you can see the name Harken, and underneath that, there's actually a title, and of course, we get Warrior. And if we go to here, go with Warrior, we get a Raider. And of course, if we go with this, we get a Paladin, which is very interesting. And of course, let's say if we go with the blue, we get a Ranger. Let's go with the green. We get a Rogue. And I believe you get a Marauder. That's not right. Nope, you get an Outlaw. And I have not seen any of the Cleric's abilities. So you get a Brawler, which seems very, very useful. And now you get an Executioner. And of course, I believe if you just go for this, you just get a Cleric. So of course, that's all of the 9 classes. Of course, I'm not going to be showcasing any of these classes. I just want to make a quick video on a rundown of everything. So obviously, this is just going to be a tutorial guide for anybody, really. Even though this game is 4 years old. But that's about it. I'm going to end it here. Hope this was useful. You don't need to leave a like or anything. Just continue and have fun with this game, and hope I see you on the way.